Well, it's very rewarding knowing that I've been campaigning for almost 2 years for this office. And it has been, a long journey, of course, and a very long final day of that journey with many hours of voting. But me and my team are so excited that we've won the nomination and now we can move right forward into the general election and really start challenging the two-party system instead of trying to run against other great libertarians. Well, I think our initial support obviously came from the fact that we've been a successful campaign in terms of the Libertarian Party before and raising awareness, the Georgia 2022 Senate race, getting across the country and reaching out to all 50 states is something no Libertarian candidate had ever done before. And so I think that put confidence into our supporters that, man, Chase is going to run really hard through the general election. And then ultimately, I formed an amazing ticket with my running mate, Mike Termont, and that is a unity ticket for our party across the spectrum of the party. Really, wherever you kind of came to, from the left, the right, the center, wherever you came to libertarianism from, there's something to like about this ticket. And so I think that is really what drove us over the edge, and that we have an amazing team, both me and my running mate, as well as the people who are underneath us, who are also amazing teams that are about to do some great work. Well, my message to Georgia voters is clear. If we continue down the same path that we always had with Republicans and Democrats, particularly in the White House, and we don't signal for anything different, we're going to continue to see the hyperpartisanship, the fighting, the division that we've seen in our politics really, really taking hold over the last 8 to 10 years in a way that I have never seen before. I've seen partisanship, but this division that we have in our country, not even in politics, but just in culture, is caused by only having two choices. So my message to Georgia voters is keep an open mind. I would love to earn your vote, and I would really, really like to see that children grow up with more than two choices on their ballot. And the only way to have that continue is for Georgia voters to say, we're done with having only two choices. Currently, we have qualified for 37, though we have ballot access drives all over the country. We aim to be on all 50 states. We recognize that there might be a couple there that are really, really challenging. And even in those cases, we're going to still be on the ballot as a write-in candidate, but we're looking to be a nationwide campaign. And currently, amongst all the candidates beyond Donald Trump and Joe Biden, we have the most ballot access and are growing. Well, there might be some protest votes out there, right? But I think really the truth is people aren't going to jump out of there pulling the R or D lever as they have for a long period of time unless they have something to vote for. It's very hard to get somebody to say, well, just vote for something that you don't believe in or that you don't have agreement with. But if somebody sees something that they want to vote for, that's when they take the risk to jump outside of the two-party system. That's when they say, hey, I'm willing to risk it on this person because their message is solid and clear. And my message is clear. You can live your life in peace, and I want the government to stay out of it. As long as you're doing your life in peace, I don't care how you live, what your values are, where you come from, who you are. If you live your life in peace, it's not my business, and it certainly isn't the federal government's. And I think people would love that hands-off approach to them living their lives. Absolutely not. I'm about waking up new voters, and the largest pool of voters in this country is independents. I would love to wake up millions and millions of new voters to options outside the two-party system, and particularly this young next generation of Americans who right now are protesting across college campuses against warfare. And the truth is both Donald Trump and Joe Biden have perpetuated a warfare state across this world that young people shouldn't have to grow up in. They shouldn't have to see our values exported with bullets and bombs instead of trade, diplomacy, and voluntary exchange. And that's the message I'm bringing to young voters, and I hope it snaps them out of the two-party statism. No, I'm trying to build up the Libertarian Party foundationally. Now, we may or may not live in the multiverse where a Libertarian gets elected president in 2024, but there's a lot of other things that we can peg as victories for the Libertarian Party in terms of building ourselves up. We have states where we need to get a certain number to have ballot access so we can continue to run candidates or earn major party status that gets us access to the primary ballot or other mechanisms. And of course, there are libertarians running all over the country in winnable, electable races, and my campaign will find them, help them get across the finish line to victory, and build up a true foundation for liberty that in the long term can challenge the two-party system. This isn't a one-and-done election. This is about building ourselves up so we can tear the abuses of the government down. Yeah, well, I think one of the things libertarians need to spread the message is, hey, we want people to be taken care of and have great quality of life and all these things, but we believe that those can be best facilitated outside the confines of government. There are free market and private solutions that could be in the place of a lot of these programs that are extremely inefficient, full of red tape and bureaucracy. And in fact, if we allowed for the trillions of individual marketplace decisions to be guiding our economy instead of a few hundred central planners who sit in the Capitol building every year, we would actually see much more prosperity and growth in terms of wealth and the ability for people to live a quality life. And that's in really every aspect of the economy. If we got the government's hand out of it and let consumers and the market decide these things, we would have better outcomes. nothing would ever be perfect because nothing is perfect. We live in a real world, but we would have far more opportunity for growth, prosperity, and entrepreneurship if the government could get itself out of our way. And so I understand there's the need to help, and people say we need to provide for these people, we need to do these things. But the best way to provide for people is not through government. It's through our individual actions, mutual and direct aid, and voluntary and free exchange. Well, it doesn't happen overnight. It's not like flipping a light switch on or off. You have to create an actual plan to draw these things down and to remove our military footprint from every continent that isn't from North America. And that doesn't take place instantly either. That is a North Star that we have to reach for. But as an anti-war activist, if we're not reaching for that, what are we doing? We have to pull ourselves out from exporting our values with the bullets and bombs. We have to do true diplomacy and actually have true market exchange with our foreign neighbors. Because guess what? If I'm buying something from you or you're selling something to me, I don't have any incentive to want to shoot or bomb you. And so I think the better we connect ourselves through international trade, the less likely we're to see violence. And of course, we could draw down our military a massive amount and still be far better funded and far better protected from invasion than any other nation on earth. Yeah, so I'm a 38-year-old who I was born in Nashville, Tennessee, but moved to Snellville, Georgia when I was 7 years old, and that's where I grew up in a small suburb outside of Atlanta. I was a Brookwood Bronco when I was in school, and then of course I've remained in Georgia, moved to Atlanta, and then I'm somebody who is a man of faith. I grew up in the Christian faith. I'm currently an Episcopal Christian, and I love my family. I have two parents who love me, three brothers, lots of nephews and nieces. I'm their favorite uncle, and I'm also an avid Star Trek fan and a fan of pro wrestling. So if you want to know a little bit about what I do outside of politics to take my mind off the stress, it's usually an episode of Deep Space Nine. Oh yeah, well, I ran a 50-state campaign because I wanted to demonstrate to the Libertarian delegates who would be nominating me the kind of energy and drive I would have in the general election. So we're ready to go full steam ahead, get out to as many places as we can. I imagine I'm gonna have a lot of early mornings, a lot of late nights, and a lot of nights where I don't get a whole lot of sleep and sleeping on airplanes. But guess what? I've already been doing that for a year and a half. We're just going to turn up the volume a little bit until November in this last sprint to the finish. And I think we have the energy and drive. And hey, not for nothing, being under the age of 40 does help you have that kind of campaigning. I don't see Joe Biden or Donald Trump getting out to 50 states. They're only relying on a few swing states because I don't think they have the energy to campaign like I do, frankly. Well, definitely we want to get next month's debate. Frankly, I think the threshold for debates should be if you're on enough state ballots to get theoretically 270 electoral votes, you should be on a debate stage. And that would take it up to 2 to 3, 4, or 5 people. And I think the American people are smart enough to hear from more than just 2 people and be able to maintain who's saying what and where their positions are. So I don't think it will confuse the voter. And of course, Georgia's very important to me. This is my home state. This is where my values reside. This is where I have been raised. And this is the spirit of love and diversity that Atlanta has provided. Atlanta is a spirit of liberty. Let me tell you why. Because so many different people from across different walks of life can live in this city and exist together and survive and thrive together. And ultimately, that's really what liberty is all about, is you being able to live your life as you see fit. I'll live my life as I see fit. And we'll see the beauty that comes from that and all the amazing things that can come from all different kinds of people living together freely. Hopefully a sense that me and my team and my volunteers have worked hard to really accomplish the goal that we set forward. I've always been the type of guy that says, hey, man, I'm not going to do anything, half out the gate. I'm going to basically be going full bore for my goals. And to see something like that being fulfilled really means that Americans, if you really put your mind to anything, you can do anything and be anything. I hope voters can give me an honest view. Take a good look at us, kick the tires, compare me to the other candidates. I'm half the age of most of my opponents. And that means I've lived a very different life than they have. I grew up during the war on terror years. I grew up during the years when the financial collapse happened, right when I was getting started in the economy. And I'm seeing people in my generation right now trying to raise families all over the country with record inflation, seeing that they take the same money each week to the grocery store, but less and less ends up in the grocery cart. And so those are the things I care about. Those are the causes that I'm fighting for. And I hope voters can go to my website, check me out at votechaseoliver.com, find me on Twitter or Instagram or on TikTok or wherever, particularly TikTok, we're growing there. But wherever you want to get your information from the campaign, please reach out to us. And we'd love to have your support this November. Support peace, love, and liberty for all people. Well, like I said, there's a lot of different goals for me to hit, right? And some of those are ballot access goals of certain percentages in certain states. Of course, we want to hit a national average that's going to make a huge splash, whether that's, hey, we broke through in a new, we had a voter breakout, or even if we were somehow to get to the contest and win this thing. Like, yes, all of those are goals for me, but I recognize that some of those are less attainable than others, and you have to keep your feet on the ground, your nose to the grindstone, and work hard to achieve what you want to achieve.